Lucy is the final character to be added to Guilty Gear Strive Season 4, and the first guest character basically ever to be added to Guilty Gear. Now, there was a lot of hype around this character. Not only is she from a critically acclaimed animated series, but also there's an expectation that the guest character should be a strong character in the fighting game. However, pretty quickly after her release at the end of August, many top players of Strive considered her to be among the weaker side of the cast, some going as far as saying she was a bottom 5 character. That being said, is this actually true? Because you hear this a lot from high-level Strive players when a new character comes out. So for example, one of the characters I have the most time personally on is Abba, and Abba is incredibly popular amongst the player base. Now, after playing the character for a few days, many high-level Strive players considered her again to be a weak character. Specifically, people were saying that she was bottom 1, the weakest character in the game. But as I played her for longer and longer, I was like, certainly this is not the case, and after around 3 weeks to a month or so, opinions on Abba turned around and people started saying that, hey, actually she was pretty strong, or hey, she's pretty good as a counterpick character. I specifically used her as a counterpick character for the rest of Season 3 after she came out to pretty good success in my opinion. Even more famously, one of the best performing characters in the entire game, Happy Chaos, was considered to be a weak character when he released, and it wasn't for a couple of months until people discovered what made Happy Chaos so broken. But we're not here to talk about Happy Chaos, we're here to talk about Lucy. So the goal of this video is to see how good Lucy is actually now that she's been out for a couple of months, and why it seems that people do not play this character competitively. And in order to do this, first we need to look at what type of character Lucy is. So at a glance, Lucy is a simple character. She is fast, is excellent at mid-range with her monowire normals. A lot of her game focuses on meter span, including her quick hack super, which has 6 different options. Each one costs a different amount of RAM. You have 24 total, so you can make a combination of these. And things stack. So for example, you could set 4 contagions, but you could only set 1 algorithmic function because it's 13, so you can't do 26 RAM, if that makes sense. Now, each one has a different effect. So contagion is poison while you're in hit stun. Then energy siphon recovers HP in a similar way while they're in hit stun. Algorithm malfunction guarantees a counter hit, a big counter hit. Resistance glitch makes them build more risk than normal. Pacify makes the opponent build essentially no meter compared to normal. Compare this to him just doing this normally where he'll build meter. And finally, optics inhibition makes her not invisible but gives her like camouflage. She also has a hack she can apply without meter, which is the short nerve circuit. And the short nerve circuit is when you make them block this, anything with the monowire will have extra hit stun. And you can tell the difference because you have to use this move where she turns black for a second. So once she starts looking like this, she will apply it here. And she has quite a few normals that apply this state as she uses her monowire quite a bit. Now for strengths, she is incredibly fast. Unica, the character that came out before her, is much slower in comparison. But she also has good and big pokes. So she has pokes like Far Slash, 5H, which is smaller than Far Slash, to be fair. And then 2S, which is a big low, and it's an active low. And this is really important because you have a nice tool against walkback, and it catches backdash. With short nerve circuit, she has a comboable throw. So a normal throw looks like this, but with the effect of the upgrade, you could run up and do whatever. The quick hack super is quite good. It is fast as an easy way to add a ton of damage as things stack. Her defense is good too. So you have a faster than average backdash. So she has a 5 frame invincible, 19 frame total backdash. So an above average backdash. And she also has a meterless reversal to get people off her. But then her weaknesses. So She has low HP. Of course, there's a Seylor who does a lot of damage, but Lucy has 1.07 defense modifier and 2 guts, so she has similar HP to Bridget, which means her HP is definitely low. Now, for comparison, the general Guilty Gear average across all the games, people will say a character of a 1.0 defense modifier with 2 guts would be like the average, which Unica has. So the same combo on Unica is going to do a bit of less damage. Still a lot, but not like where the burst icon is or something like with Lucy. Low HP means you can't really make a lot of mistakes, but there are plenty of successful characters who have low HP. Happy Chaos is a perfect example, or Zato earlier on in the game. Zato had good results, and Happy Chaos, again, is one of the best performing characters in the game. They both have relatively low HP. A bigger thing is the meter reliance of the character. So her biggest damage comes from quick hack, which is good because she's from a game where you hack, I'm assuming. And the main way you do it is by stacking Contagion. Because if you remember, the main way you add the poison damage is by keeping your opponent in hit stun. So the longer the combo, the better, which means you need to spend resources when possible. Another weakness is, while the character is incredibly fast, she actually doesn't have that great of anti-zoning tools. So she does have really big buttons, like, again, far slash and 2S. Surprisingly, she also has a projectile, which is her 236S, but it doesn't actually do that much on standing opponents, and it even leaves her negative on hit. And on top of that, it could be crouch, and it's like, okay, I know Seylor is a vampire, but the bullet is going through his head and he's chilling, so that should go to show you how small the hitbox is for the move. And while I mentioned that she's resource heavy, her damage actually is really just not that impressive without spending some type of resource. Finally, her mix-up options are a little bit restricted. So she does have incredibly strong strike throw after the monowire because she can throw you into a combo, and if she strikes you, she also gets a combo. And what a lot of them like to do is they'll use jump H as the strike, so it's an overhead, but it also is like the strike, and the strike throw is pretty good. But her actual ability to do mix-ups outside of this upgrade is relatively limited. They gave her a horizontal JP, so it's a little bit difficult to do high-lows with that. She has a slower JD, but it's a bit too slow to use for 50-50s most of the time. It means that she can't really do some of the more advanced overhead options that other characters do with BRC. Okay, so now that we know what she's generally like, let's take a look at how the character fits into the competitive meta. So Lucy ends up being a fast character with a couple of unique strengths. Again, having a meterless reversal in this game is quite good as a deterrent, and also just makes it hard for people to open you up the more you know about other characters. A good simple example would be knowing where characters have gaps in their strings, or knowing that certain attacks are negative enough that a DP punish is guaranteed. And this pairs well with her really good backdash and strong pokes. So it seems that the general sentiment about Lucy comes from her reward more than anything else. Her typical hits don't lead to much damage unless she has a resource, and she does have Blue Water Assault, which is useful for combos or getting the initial hack on the opponent, but that costs heavier bursts. Her big damage comes from having meters, so she either has to farm normals over and over, or she needs to make somebody block the partly charged monowire so that she gets the upgrade, or she needs to use Blue Water Assault so that she can guarantee it. Now, once it's on, you are in a good situation because, again, you do get a combo off your throw and your strike option. But I think the pain point for Lucy players here is that, unlike, say, Testament, the short nerf circuit doesn't go off on block. It specifically only goes off on hit. Why does this matter? Well, if the strike is your jump H, that means you're kind of vulnerable here. Yes, she has options to get away and options to RPS and stuff, but it not going off does make it a little bit risky to do strike throw like this. But on the other hand, it is good in that you don't actually get it off until you get a hit, where in Testament's case, it goes off no matter what. So while they're plus and they can recycle a situation because they have the characters built, there's pluses and minuses to both. Now, the character's ability to mix you up specifically, high-low or left-right, is not that great. She's a decent one-off throw involving dashing and jumping, but it's quite tight to get the same side one. When I was playing her on launch, I found it pretty difficult to actually get the same side. It takes quite a bit of practice, especially with how fast she is. Her straight-up mix-up, as in her ability to do like high-lows or left-rights, is relatively limited. And this leads to more interactions than more popular characters that have had pretty consistent tournament success. We're talking like Johnny with his guard crush high-lows, Gold Lewis with his guard crush offense, and then Polite Threat of Drone, and Happy Chaos managing his bullets and concentration and doing left-rights and high-lows using them. Her ability to farm meter is good, but it has a flaw as well. Since it's around normals and not special moves like, say, Asuka doing this, so not only is the rate of meter build less, but it could also be made more annoying with the usage of passive defensive options like IBFD or Deflect Shield. Typically, normals with follow-ups can't be delay canceled. So if you played this game a little bit, then you would know that a really common tactic is to do a normal into a delayed normal. But if it's a slash button that has a follow-up like // but you actually can't really do it outside of the active frames of the move. In this case, I have the computer set to guard first only, so if I leave even a 1 frame gap, they will get hit. And with // I cannot delay enough. There are exceptions in this game, so Bridget has the same thing on //, but Bridget also has an exception on 2H. Lucy's 2S is very, very active. It's 6 frames, so she does have the ability to delay this some. And you have the option to delay into 5 heavy as normal, but as slash buttons are bigger than her 5H, as her 5H has less range than her slash buttons, at // range, where // will pull in, her 5H will whiff. And this happens with 2S as well, but in 2S's case, it happens mostly on faultless defense at max range, which shouldn't really happen because you're usually running up and doing 2 slash, so it's not really a problem here, but it is a problem on this button, making this issue pretty annoying for the character, especially since it is quite an advantage to bring an opponent here and play this range. Now on her side, she can't really target this either, which makes it a huge pain, and it's pretty difficult to confirm the situation on passive defense. But thankfully, if someone is trying to instant block faultless defense this or use Deflect Shield, you have the option to use Wild Assault. The main thing about Wild Assault being that you get a guaranteed short nerve circuit. And generally, if someone is trying to use these passive defensive options, they're trying to see whether or not it was successful. But this is pretty expensive. It costs half of your burst to do, and you need the burst to do damage as she is resource intensive. On top of your burst being your combo breaker, which you need because she has low HP, which means she takes a lot of damage. So feeling like you can't reliably hit people with the character, I think is probably one of the big issues that high level players have with her, on top of feeling like they might not always have the resource to actually cash out and make hits matter. Now that being said, I do think she does have an interesting place in the meta, maybe a niche spot in the meta. Maybe she's a mid-tier and not a bottom 5 character. Now, remember when I said Lucy was a fast character with disjoints? Now, to clarify what I mean, fast characters do have disjoints, but there are a couple of caveats to this. So for starters, it's probably not //. The characters we consider to be fast characters, Chip, Geo, Milia, none of these characters have // that are disjoint. Usually the button that is a disjoint is heavy slash. And the thing is, if a fast character's advantage is speed, then them using heavy slash is a pretty big deal because it has some type of commitment to it. 33 frames is not an essential, like a super long time, but for a character that's as fast and mobile as Chip, him being in one spot for about half a second is pretty uncommon. And then finally, fast characters typically have fast kicks, so Chip has this 5k, this move is incredibly good and mashable, and he has this 2k, which is really short total duration and 5 frames, but they are kind of small. His kicks whiff from here. So typically in this game, fast characters are weak against
fast, hard to react to buttons like kicks. But Lucy's kick is not comparable to Chip's at all. She has a very big, very safe on block 5k that's more comparable to one like Seylor or Nago. And then she also has the whip normals 2S, /, and 5H. Despite the size of her /, it does have a couple of weaknesses, like it's very easy to go under, which also means it is weak to 6p, and it has quite the extended hurt box. This is Sin hitting the extended hurt box of Lucy's /, but she has 5H to complement this, along with her excellent 2S. So I personally feel that there are some characters in the game, probably more than I'm thinking of, that really struggle against her neutral, because she's a fast character that does not have the same typical strategy that you use against the other fast characters. She has great huge kicks and big disjointed pokes, where generally the expectation is that you could use really fast attacks to make it difficult for the fast character to pull up, and with relatively good timing you could stuff their attack with a pretty low commit move with pretty decent return. I've actually started an all characters to Vanquisher run, and I'm still pretty early in this run, but I was surprised at how difficult it was to fight against Lucy with two very different characters who players consider to be very different strengths. Ramathal, who's considered to be one of the best characters in the game, and Dizzy, who's considered to be one of the worst characters in the game. It could be a skill issue, but at least as someone who plays Baiken, I do recognize a lot of my strategies against Lucy are very, very specific and does not fit into the standard, this is how you play against a fast character. And I'm really curious how other characters, some other characters actually fight her, you know? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you want to support the channel, or if you just want general fighting game tips that I don't know how to write into a video, you can check out the Patreon. There's stuff for free members and supporting members. It helps the channel, so go ahead, check that out, patreon.com/LordKnight. If you're looking for Guilty Gear coaching or any of the games I played in the past, you can go to medify.gg/ is it @LordKnight/@LordKnight. I stream most days, 5 days a week, twitch.tv/LordKnight. Right now we're doing the all characters to Vanquisher run, which will have videos on YouTube and will be streamed in YouTube soon. Emphasis on soon, but you can check that out there. And it's also where I record videos for the second channel, LordKnight Chronicles. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.